is seen. So is this working? If someone is here in the live stream, can they please let me know if everything is working or not? This is the different setup from the other times. I am well aware it's not as fancy as last time, but it will have to do for today. Hello, hello. I forgot to take the book that we're talking about today. Lovely, welcome. So nice of you to be here again. I think you are the person who's in every single live stream so far. So today we were going to be talking about Anno Dracula by Kim Newman. Unfortunately, I DNF'd the book. I started reading it, and from chapter 1, it has been giving me Jack the Ripper vibes that I could not get rid of, and I did not enjoy it. So unless someone today can tell me that it changes throughout the book, that it gets better, or that it takes on a different twist, then maybe I'll pick it up again somewhere in the future. But for now, I'm not convinced this is a book for me. Although I do have a very pretty special edition of it. So if you have read the book, feel free to let me know. And Lovely says, I didn't start reading it. I didn't feel it when I was reading the back. Well, on the back, there's just quotes on mine. So it's just being hyped up. But the thing is, I love the aesthetics of the book. Like the inside has this like filigree and this dagger and everything. But yeah, the book wasn't for me. I'm quickly reading the synopsis that's at the front. It is 1888, and Queen Victoria has remarried, taking as her new consort the Wallachian prince infamously known as Count Dracula. His polluted bloodline spreads through London as its citizens increasingly choose to become vampires. In the grim backstreets of Whitechapel, a killer known as Silverknife, aka Jack the Ripper, or that's what it felt like in the book, is cutting down vampire girls. The eternally young vampire Genevieve Dieudonné and Charles Beauregard of the Diogenes Club are drawn together as they both hunt the sadistic killer, bringing them ever closer to England's most bloodthirsty ruler yet. I unfortunately can confirm that my gut feeling about the first few chapters is right, and that this is a variation on vampires meet Jack the Ripper, which is not what I want to read. I'm sorry. I have a little bit of a cough because it's been very sunny out, and as we know, it's spring. So there's pollen everywhere, and I live in well, not countryside, but more rural. And there's a lot of plants here. So I just went to the living room and the doors were open. So everything is itchy right now. No, I do not know which trees or which plants I'm allergic to, unfortunately. But yeah, If anyone else who joined wants to talk about Anno Dracula, this is your moment. Otherwise, I'm gonna start talking about another vampire book that I have read, that I have other thoughts about, and it is Immortal Dark. But first, a little bit of water. So my itchy throat doesn't continue itching. And of course, if you have other books that you read during the month of April that you want to talk about or share your thoughts on, that is, of course, an option. We're here to discuss Anno Dracula since no one read it. We're gonna talk about other things. So Z says, "What a pretty book! I didn't read this one. I'm just here to hang out." Hi, I DNF'd it at chapter 3. I'm also here to hang out and not really to talk about this book because it wasn't my vibe. So if you want to talk about other books, thumbs up, we can do so. So what I have here in terms of vampire books, and this is pretty convenient. I know you can't see it because this is my desk setup, and usually I sit there in front of the doors that you can see and the lights on both sides, but today has been crazy busy, so I unfortunately didn't have the time to set everything up. It looks nice, but the book is giving Jack the Ripper meets vampires vibes, and it's not a vibe that I'm into. I like my fantasy novels to be fantasy based and not to be horror based or not to be like crime based too much. I want to feel like I want to be in the world and not like it's our world, but then worse. So yeah, behind the scenes, this is my desk. So right now I'm sitting at the office desk that I work at, that I edit at. I'm actually a professional photographer, a fantasy photographer. So yeah, I take pictures against that wall because I have the rolls. I also have colored lights. Not sure if this one is charged. I call them my lightsabers. Yeah, it's definitely charged. So this is what I also use in my videos in the background. So every time you see a colored light behind me, it's these tubes. They're called nanlite pavo tubes. I call them my lightsabers. And I love them. I use them for a lot of photo shoots where I want to give a colored hue to the background of the pictures. I also have done like cyberpunk and stuff with it, but it's like it's very bright. So maybe I should put this down here to give like this is what the YouTubers do. They put like a light behind them to give like a colored hue to the room. I like it as well, and I usually do it, but not today. Today you have the chill at home version of me. But these are my shelves that you always see. And on this shelf, like this particular shelf, are all my vampire books that you do usually see when you look at my videos. So what have I read this month that I did quite enjoy? I actually have two versions of the book, and I'm gonna get rid of one of them. It's Immortal Dark. So this is also a vampire book. It was also among the votes of the book of the month, like for this month. And I decided to read it because I have two gorgeous special editions, and I didn't know if I liked the book, and definitely not if I liked the book enough to keep two versions. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to get rid of my Fairy Loot edition, which is this one with the books. I know they're both gorgeous, but this one doesn't have a dust jacket. And the inside of this book is simply like where you write down if you've borrowed a book, and then a note at the back. Whereas the other one, this is the Owl Crate edition. Like this vibe is way more my thing, with the black and the red, and it's like fully stenciled. And then the inside, hold on. In the book, they reference a story that one of the two main characters is reading, and it is called The Mad Lovers. So they actually recreated the cover of that book for the cover of the hardback. It is a gorgeous deep red, and the insides of these one have a sort of butterfly wallpaper type pattern on it. So I prefer this version. I also forgot that I ordered the Fairy Loot edition. So I bought the Owl Crate one, this one, second hand. So I'm gonna get rid of the other one. Also because I did enjoy the book, but I didn't love it. So I'm gonna put it here for now. It's not high enough. Well, I just have it here. Has anyone read Immortal Dark yet? Of the people joining me today. If you haven't, that's all right too. Then I can just talk a little bit about it, but not go into spoilers. Okay, C says, no, I haven't. Immortal Dark is dark academia with vampires, but not in the typical scholastic way that the people in the school, like being taught things like the students are vampires. They're actually, best way to call it is vampire familiars. So the vampires have to feed off of people, of course. And in this world building, they can only feed off of specific families. And those families all have a house on the property of the school. So you basically grow up in that house and then like are taught the way of life with the vampires. They all have magical powers as well. Each house has a different power, but you don't know what it is at the beginning. This is written from or by an Ethiopian author. So every single character in the book is black. They also have like the special haircuts, the braids, the hair poofs. I don't know what to call them. But it was really nice getting a vampire book from another point of view than typical like British or French vampires. If you see me looking there, it's because the front door is there. And I saw something, but it's probably one of the cats or my partner. But yeah, Immortal Dark. We start off with two sisters that have been raised separately from this academy. Their parents kind of took them out, or one of the, I think it's the mom's sister or something, one of their aunts takes them out of the school, and there is something going on within this school that they want to protect their daughters from. So the two girls, they're not twins, they're just sisters. Is it series or a standalone? This is definitely the start of a series because the ending is so abrupt and it has a huge cliffhanger. So this will definitely be a series. The one thing that I didn't like about this book is we have our main character, which is one of the two sisters that we follow. The other sister is not in this book, as in she isn't in the chapters specifically. She's referenced a lot though. And then the other main character is one of the vampires, and she needs to live together with this vampire and teach or be taught how to live within this world. I found the power imbalance between them weird at times. So at the beginning of the book, she comes into this house, and so the vampire, is to inherit the house if she doesn't come there for X amount of days. So she goes to the house and tries to claim it, but the house has magical powers, so she has to like conquer the house some sort of way and find out what the magical house rule is. Right now, the house rule that there is right now can be changed, but it's a magical power that the owners are only taught at a specific moment. The magical system was confusing at times. And I also felt you are introduced to all of these principles at the same time as our main character. So we mainly follow the female main character. So one of the two sisters, they are adults. I think they're 18 or 19. And then we every so often switch to the point of view of the vampire, which was quite interesting as well. But he keeps lying to her. And when you finally think that he's done lying, so you're like, okay, we didn't like him, now we do like him, then he just betrays her again. So it was like a little bit frustrating and also confusing that you cannot trust the main character. Well, one of the two main characters. So for me, that was a little bit of like, I have given this, I think, 3 stars because I did like it. I did like the setup. It's one of the very few dark academia books that I did enjoy because usually academia is not for me. But I did not like the way that the vampire main character and the normal main character were like interacting a lot of the times. There is definitely some tension between them. but it felt off. That's the best way I can describe it. So, Immortal Dark, I'm gonna keep this pretty copy, but the other copy is gonna go, and I think I'm also gonna be unhauling Anno Dracula. Even though it's a very pretty book, it's not my type of book that I like to read, especially not with vampires. I prefer fantasy with vampires and not just horror vampires, which is why I also didn't like Southern Book Club's Guide for Slaying Vampires, because it was a horror novel and not a fantasy novel at all, but it was with the fantasy. So if we then still look at my shelf, so I'm quickly gonna go through all of the books that I have on my vampire shelf, because why not? We have Carmilla, of course. This is the book even before Dracula that began everything in terms of vampire novels. There are, of course, the vampire, like with an Y instead of a E. I don't know how to say it. Sorry. That precedes this, but this is actually a novel about a female vampire going to go haunt a little bit a human girl to try and drink from her or seduce her. It is said that this is a sapphic novel. I personally didn't feel that way. It is great if you want to know more about the origins about vampire stories, then this is definitely worth to read. If you're not that much into vampire books, I would not waste your time on. I would not waste your time on it, because I didn't think it was that good, to be honest. Then we have The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin. And fun fact, on Monday, I am finally picking up book 2 of the series. It has been waiting in my local Waterstones for me. The Scarlet Veil is pretty recent. It is from the same author that has Serpent and Dove. I don't know if any of you have read this book or Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin, because that series, like this series, is really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It's based upon French, not mythology, but the names are French of most of the main characters in this. And they are part of a group of hunters. So it's called Les Chasseurs, and Les Chasseurs translates to the hunters. Lovely did read it. Okay, Lovely. What were your thoughts on The Scarlet Veil? What did you think of it? What did you like? What did you maybe not like? I personally really enjoyed the female main character, which we follow throughout most of the book. She's a girl who has been part of Les Chasseurs because she did something when she was a little bit younger to save her sister mainly, but she's not being appreciated. And her fiance, who is the head of Les Chasseurs, is actually kind of a bitch about it. Best way to describe it, in my opinion. He's not nice to her at all, and he actually actively keeps information from her. So when she goes to investigate something that she maybe shouldn't have, or like she encounters on a graveyard something, and she goes to it instead of just reporting it, because she's part of Le Chasseur as well. And she's taken by vampires, basically. The end of this book was also quite the cliffhanger, so I'm really excited for going to Waterstones on Monday and picking up book 2. More vampire books are always better, and I think I really quickly read this one, and I have been in a little bit of a reading slump lately, so I hope that the second book gets me out of my reading slump at least a little bit. Lovely says, I liked the book, but it was sometimes a bit slow for me, but I got interested to read the second one because I liked her skill. Yeah. The main character, I keep forgetting her name. What's your name again? Celie. Our main character, Sally, is indeed the reason that I want to continue this series. There are vampires, there are ghosts, there are other creatures. There is definitely this good versus evil, but there's also this like, what is evil vibe. Because Les Chasseurs also have magical powers that they don't always use for good. So I feel like the duality between good, evil, Les Chasseurs, and then the monsters that they hunt was really present in this book. What else do I have here? I have Lightfall. by Ed Croker, which I have very strong thoughts about. This is described as the next J. Kristoff. It is absolutely not. Side note, I totally pre-ordered the third Empire of the Vampire book, even though I haven't read it because you love it. Aha! Yes. So, this is being described as the next Empire of the Vampire. It is not. Empire of the Vampire, those books have a special place in my heart. They're actually not on this shelf. They have their very own, like, shrine shelf. Maybe I should rant about Empire of the Vampire first. If you have, as a young child or like youth, not child, I haven't seen the movies when I was a child, but have you ever seen not Empire of the Vampire, what's it called, Interview with the Vampire? Wow. My brain is just going 100 miles an hour because I can talk about Empire of the Vampire again. Whoopsie. When I was younger, the Anne Rice books were very, very popular, but I found them not always as interesting. I read Interview with the Vampire, I read The Vampire Lestat, Vittorio the Vampire. Like, the entire lore of that world building is so big, and I remember reading at least 4 or 5 of the books within the realm. Queen of the Damned was one of the first movies that I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. The music in it as well. So I was 14, 15, maybe 16 when that movie released, and I was obsessed. So when you read Empire of the Vampire and Empire of the Damned, it has that very similar touch to it. Because J. Kristoff, as an author, he's a metalhead. He has playlists and he references songs in the book that are metal songs. And for me, that makes a huge difference. So there are 2 playlists right now up on Spotify that are made by him. One for Empire of the Vampire, one for Empire of the Damned. So yeah. Lovely says, I have that on my bookshelf as well, but I'm waiting to read to be closer to when the 3rd book comes out. I bought them due to Kathy. I'm responsible for the J. Kristoff fan club in Belgium. Nice. No, I actually got to know Empire of the Vampire thanks to my friend at work, Louise. In one of my previous jobs, she was like, "Oh, you will like this because it is written in an interview style." But what I liked the most is that the main character that is being interviewed is extremely dry and sarcastic. He doesn't take himself too seriously, and it helps giving a somewhat dark atmosphere, a funny and a good to read approach without it being overly heavy. Now, he does kill things in his books, so it's not all fun and games. But yeah, they have a very special place in my heart. The 3rd book, by the way, is coming out in November this year. So, book of the year for me is going to be Empire of the Dawn. So, it kind of lets us know. So, in book 1, you are introduced to Day's Death. So, the day died basically, and that's when vampires started taking over the world because no more sunshine. And now with the 3rd book, he hints that there is going to be an end to Day's Death, which is what they have been searching for all along in book 1 and book 2. We have been getting a few hints about it in book 2. In book 1, it was really like setting up world building, giving our character Gabriel de Leon a lot more personality and fleshed out and backstory and everything. But I feel in book 2 they're really setting up to the dawn actually, and there's more characters involved than I thought there would be. So yeah, I'm really impressed with how good the book series is. My hair is annoying me for some reason. Let's see if I have a tie. I do not have a tie to put it up, unfortunately. But yeah, Empire of the Vampire, Empire of the Damned, book 2. And in November this year, Empire of Dawn. Excited. But going back to Lightfall by Ed Crocker. This is beautiful, by the way. And this is just the regular hardcover. So this is not a special edition. I don't think it has been picked up. It's just a plain red book on the inside. Lightfall is described as being similar to J. Kristoff, but it is absolutely not. It has a world building that also has like werewolf, vampires, other changelings, other magic systems, etc. Um, it also has a system of like bigger towns like Lightfall. Lightfall is the name of one of the cities in the book. These cities have been founded by different races. So we start in one of the vampire cities, which is called, I don't think the main city that we're in is called Lightfall. It's another, yeah, it doesn't really say. But we follow a palace maid called Sam in most of the chapters, and you have three tiers within the vampires. You have like the highest of the high, the royalty, they only get like the best bloods. Then you have the middle class, which is like yeah, how can I explain this? It's not like royalty, but it's like right underneath it. So it's not poverty because that's tier 3. Tier 3 is like the normal working stuff, like Sam, the girl we follow in majority of the book, is. Um, and they only get cow's blood. So cow's blood is like the lowest blood, and it's just enough to keep you alive, but they still age because it's not like the best blood, etc. Then you have like the middle class gets fox blood and hog blood and all these different animals, and then like the top blood that there is wolf's blood, so like werewolf blood, and if they drink that they can even fly and such. So it's like kept in a reserve and kept for special occasions, and it's like super high class. It's like caviar a little bit in our world, and not everyone has access to every blood as well. So in this world building, we follow Sam, who's a maid in the palace, and then we also get the perspective from one of the, I think it's the current reigning king type situation. And in this world, there is a threat, and that threat is called the Greys. And at first, it's not sure, like, what are these Greys? Are they? It's not werewolves, because the werewolves and the vampires have a pact because they're immortals. But the Greys, they're not sure if they are immortals. And there's also, like, some type of magic system that we delve into later in the book. So this definitely is the setup for more. It was a very information heavy book, and you definitely felt it. It's why I read it slower. Usually I read a book a week. I think it took me 2 weeks to get through this, and it's not the biggest book ever. It definitely sets up for more, so I'm looking forward to book 2. This is going to be a trilogy eventually, but only book 1 is out. So for these ones, I would wait until book 3 is out as well if you want to read them, because on its own, it's not spectacular, unfortunately. What else do we have on my vampire shelf? Ah, a dowry of blood. This is the Fairy Loot edition. So it has a very pretty spray painted edge, but also the outside cover is gorgeous. And then on the inside, you have on one side the vampire, like he's never named, but it's actually Dracula. And then on the other side, you have the 3 characters here. So this one with the black hair, the blonde, and then the red head. It's very difficult to do this against my sense of like normally doing it. It's very dark print as well, but there's actually 3 characters on the back cover. So we follow one of Dracula's brides. This is kind of written in letters to herself to deal with the traumatic experience of being Dracula's bride, Dracula's consort, or whatever they call it in the book. I have been in a abusive relationship in the past that was quite similar to some of the interactions described in this book. So for me, it was very therapeutic reading it. It's not a fun book to read. It is a quite heavy book to read. If you have been through an abusive relationship, this might really help you get things into perspective. Yeah, don't read this thinking it's going to be a funny, sexy, romantic vampire book, because it's not. This was very popular when it released, I think. It is still, to this day, not super easy to find because most people who have it are hanging on to it, and I get why. What have we done? Aha. Then we have An Education in Malice, which was apparently a Carmilla retelling. So in this book, we have our two female main characters, Laura Sheridan and Carmilla, ironically. This book is gorgeous, so you can see the cover here, but this is the Fairy Loot Special Edition. And in this book, we have a Professor de La Fontaine, who they both really look up to. And if you look here, you can see Evelyn de La Fontaine poems. So this is like the hardcover is looking like a poem book. It is gorgeous. And then you have the spray painted edges, of course. And then on the inside, there is yet again character art. So we have Carmilla, the dark haired girl, and then Laura Sheridan, the blonde girl here. And then on the back, we have Professor de La Fontaine. At first, I did not know this was a vampire themed book, and the vampire theme only comes past halfway point of the book. So it's not immediately clear that it is vampires. So I really love this. It was a good read. It's a more dark academia rivals situation. I didn't understand why they made them rivals to lovers, but that might be me. I don't know. Z is asking, do you still have Fairy Loot? I can't remember if you said you were canceling or not. I have canceled all of my subscriptions. So I am not an active receiver of the boxes anymore because the books in the boxes were speaking to me less and less. But I am an active member of Vinted, which is a secondhand platform for buying and selling stuff in general, but there's also books on it. And there are always people selling the Fairy Loot and Illumicrate boxes or the books from the boxes, because right now I'm actually looking at maybe getting Where Shadows Meet. And the thing is, if I were still subscribed to Fairy Loot and slash or Illumicrate, it costs me 35 to 40 euros for each box. And here on Vinted, the book Where Shadows Meet, which is from the Fairy Loot box, is being sold for 15 to 20 euros. Then plus shipping, it's 25 euros max. So that's still cheaper than me actually having the subscription. And also, with not getting every single book that is being released monthly, it gives me some time to actually read books. But yeah, I don't have the subscription anymore. I still get emails from the books that I bought through them. So, for example, I have the Illumicrate versions of Empire of the Vampire and Empire of the Damned. And because I bought them through Illumicrate when my subscription was active, I am still getting up the follow-up emails for those books. Same with God Killer. I had the first two books from them, and I still got an email for the third one. So it's not like I'm not getting anything from Fairy Loot and Illumicrate anymore, but I don't have the monthly subscriptions. Yep. So there's only 2 books left on my vampire shelf. I'm gonna pull them out together. One of them is a young adult vampire themed book. It is A Tempest of Tea. And I know that there is a second book coming out in this series. However, I'm not sure yet if I am going to read it or not because of the coconuts. And if any of you have read this book, you will know why I say it. I hope, at least. But A Tempest of Tea is kind of like, it reminded me a lot of Six of Crows. So you have this band of misfits in this world building where there's magic, where there's a lot of things going on. and they don't have a lot of powers on their own, but if they stick together, they can make things happen. So in this book, we have our main character who is kind of leading this gang of misfits. She has a tea house, and by day it is a regular tea house, and by night it is a vampire lair tea house thing. And she has very good ties within the community because of her business. Now, the vampire tea house part, like the at night time activity, is not very legal. Um, so she has ways to hide those things, etc. This is again a beautiful edition. I am not sure which one this is. It is signed by the author. I'm pretty sure this is the Waterstones edition, so you can see like a teacup with the signature of the author. I'm pretty sure this is the Waterstones edition. Yeah, and there's nothing special on the book. But I like this. There is a heist situation going on, but it is definitely not as fantasy as I hoped it would be. And it is not like very dark. It's vampires meet a heist situation with young people who are not vampires. Like Six of Crows is the best comparison I can give to this book. And it's not bad. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely not bad, but it's not the best book I've ever read. And then we get to a very, very misleading book. This is a Illumicrate exclusive of Olivia Blake's Masters of Death. Gorgeous. Like, if you look at it, you think like, okay, bats, moons, a skull, a double opening front cover. It looks impressive, right? But then you get to actually reading the book, and it is not at all about that. We have our female main character who is a vampire real estate agent, and she's trying to sell a house that is haunted. And in order to sell the house that is haunted, she has to get along with the ghost that is haunting the house. There are other supernatural creatures then involved. They then go to, I don't think it's the underworld, but it's like somewhere where gods are, and they have to play a game. And it was very, I didn't see the added value of adding the gods. I was not interested in the majority of the book at all. If you like gods, then I think you might like it. But when I see this, I think it's gonna be vampires. And it's actually, one of the main characters is a vampire, but it's totally like, it could have been a human. It doesn't really matter that she's a vampire, in my opinion. So, gorgeous book, and for that reason alone, it's still on my shelves. But for the book itself, I was not really convinced by it. So those are all the books currently on my vampire shelf. I have a totally different shelf at the other bookcase that is behind this one, and there I have my entire Empire of the Vampire, Empire of the Damned shelf, on which I have the normal hardcovers, the Illumicrate hardcovers, and also the colored editions. So when book 3 arrives, it's going to be a very tight fit because the shelf is almost exploding at this point. So yeah, I'm not sure yet how I'm going to fix that. Maybe get rid of my regular hardcovers. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe I should separate them into 2 shelves. I love my J. Kristoff books. And then the other vampire books that I own, yeah, of course, I have the Carissa Broadbent books. The Serpent and the Wings of Night, Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, Six Scorched Roses, and then the new duology. I have the first book, Songbird and the Heart of Stone, I think it's called. I also have Slaying the Vampire Hunter. Is it Slaying the Vampire Hunter? Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. Wow. But those are also, they're underneath my J. Kristoff vampire books. And there I currently have my regular hardcovers, and then the recently released, I think it's Alcrate editions or Fairyloot editions, I'm not sure, the blue ones. But yeah, I'm looking to replace my normal editions with the special editions, but I don't want to keep both of them. So once I have all of my matching special editions, I will be selling my normal hardcovers because I don't feel the need. They're not like J. Kristoff is special to me and it holds a special place in my heart. But Carissa Broadbent, they're good, but they're not up to the level of J. Kristoff yet. Or in my opinion, anyways. So I would love to know, since this is Vampire Month, is there any other vampire-themed books that you have read? Have you all read the original Dracula? Because the original Dracula I read when I was 12, I think, for the first time, or 13, and I read it in French because back then I was at a French school, and it was one of the only like vampire-themed library books that my school library had. So I went from Lord of the Rings to reading Dracula. Lovely. Which books did you really, really like? Is it anything I mentioned, or is it Carissa Broadbent's? So no one has read Dracula either. Okay. Dracula, the original Dracula, is also kind of boring. So if you really want to know what's going on in the book, it might be a good idea to just watch one of the movies. There are lots of versions of Dracula that have come out. The OG Dracula it's okay. It's not the best book, not the worst book. But it's good if you want to get a basic idea on the premises of vampires in books and vampires in tales in general. The Dracula in Carmilla is definitely more sensual than the Dracula in Dracula, or like the vampires in Dracula at least. The vampire in Dracula is kind of creepy. So if you want to look up one of the movies, there is one, I think it's called Dracula 2000, the one that I originally watched. Let me check. Count Dracula. Now it's giving me all the books. Dracula movies. I think the one that I watched was with Christopher Nolan. But I don't know. Christopher Lee, I'm sorry. So if you want the creepy Dracula, it's Dracula, Prince of Darkness. Yeah, with Christopher Lee. That's the one that I saw first, and it is very creepy. But it is supposed to be a horror movie. So, to give context, Dracula was never meant to be sexual. Dracula was always meant to be horrific and creepy and kind of like intriguing. Lovely says, I am in my dragon area, to be honest. Okay, dragons are fun. What have I read recently with dragons? A Language of Dragons, When the Moon Hatched, but that was last month's book. Z says, have you seen Blood on Her Tongue? The regular paperback has blood dripping edges. The summary is vague. It might be vampires. I'm not sure, but it sounds good. Okay, let's Goodreads that. For dragons, if you're looking for dragon smut, the series that I read recently was not really good. Blood on Her Tongue. Johanna van Veen. She sounds Dutch or like, yeah, in the Netherlands. Gothic, horror, historical fiction, vampires, fantasy. So yes, there are vampires in it. She is the author is from the Netherlands. So I'm gonna read the synopsis for those of you who might be interested as well. I'm in your blood and you are mine. The Netherlands, 1887, so 1 year before Anno Dracula, for anyone who's keeping count. Lucy's twin sister, Sarah, is unwell. She refuses to eat, mumbles nonsensically, and is increasingly obsessed with a centuries old corpse recently discovered on her husband's grand estate. The doctor has diagnosed her with temporary insanity caused by a fever of the brain. To protect her twin from a terrible fate in a lunatic asylum, Lucy must unravel the mystery surrounding her sister's condition, but it's clear her twin is hiding something. Then again, Lucy is harboring secrets of her own too. Then the worst happens. Sarah's behavior takes a turn for the strange. She becomes angry and hungry. Lucy soon comes to suspect that something is trying to possess her beloved sister. Or is it madness? As Sarah changes before her very eyes, Lucy must reckon with the dark, monstrous truth or risk losing her forever. Maybe. I will put it on my enormous want to read pile. It has 4-star rating out of 1,500 almost reviews, so that doesn't sound bad at all. So what I always do is I go through reviews that are good but not like 5 stars. One of the people's reactions to this book is, I thought this would be a gothic romance. Lol. How surprised I was when it turned out to be nothing like that. This book was full of wackles. So many wackles in one place, it was completely unhinged, and I loved every second of it. There were so many moments that made me grimace and go, ew, and the detailing of the gory events, ew, ew, ultimate ew. The shock factor was top notch. I never knew what should happen next. And guys, the atmosphere, it was there. Eerie, dark, and mysterious that really pulled you in. Loved it. Oh, and I have to share this wild historical fact I highlighted. Back in the 1800s, before they even knew about blood types, doctors would only transfuse blood from men because they believed men are stronger as is their blood. Of course, men. Always so strong and superior, even down to their blood. And then an eye roll emoji. This book was a ride, disturbing, unpredictable, and absolutely gripping. If you love dark and twisted stories, this one's for you. And the person has received an ARC for the book that she is promoting. Yeah. So I don't think it's a fantasy romance or anything. Another person. So I always read a good one and then I always go to a bad one. And this is like a 1-star rating on this book. I think I lost brain power reading this book. I wanted to love this so much, but I could not bring myself to care about it. The amount of times I nearly DNF'd this book, but decided to push through hoping that it'll get better. Since I've been seeing so many people loving this book, I should have just DNF'd. When I tell you that I feel like nothing happened in this book, even though a lot was happening. So yeah, some people love it, some people don't, which is something. Yeah, that's always the case with books. Some people love it, some people don't. Let me read the comments. So I have bought On Wings of Blood and Serafina to be my next dragon books. I also have Serafina. I haven't read it yet, but I have it. I own it. I have way too many books at the moment. I'm actually gonna do a book unhaul pretty soon because my bookshelves are getting out of hand. I also have doubles of books that I didn't really like. And for me, it's easier to get rid of books that I have read than to get rid of books that I haven't read yet, because what if I love it? But I am running out of space. And the bookshelf in the living room is my TBR, my physical TBR, and it is overflowing so much that I'm now starting to have piles on the shelves in front of the books and like books on top of books stacked behind. It's not even funny anymore at this point. So I have to get rid of books and I have to read more from my physical collection, which is what I'm trying to do anyways. I did buy something. I hope it is here. And this is what I'm going to be using for the month of May to decide what books I'm going to be reading. It is by Magic and Books, and it is a TBR card set, and it is very hard to open. And they are gorgeous, by the way. They're all these like gold edged books, like no cards, not books, cards. Wow, all the books. And they all have a different TBR something on it. So I'm just gonna grab 3 at random right now so I can just read those to you. I'm not sure if I'm going to pull one of those to pick the next read. And what I'm also going to do is for if you guys, because I will need your input for this, if you want to see more of these live streams, you need to vote on a book. But I'm going to give you 4 complete different options. So it's going to be a romantasy, another book that is not romantasy, a YA book, etc. Because I need a little bit more diversity in what I read after having like a romantasy month, a dragon month, and now a vampire month. I don't know what I want to read. So the cards that I pulled, there are 3 cards that I have here. The first one is read a debut novel. I have a bunch of debut novels that I have not touched yet. And then we have the second one is read a book by a BIPOC author, which I actually have a bunch of, so that's not going to be hard at all. And then the last one is read a classic. This one is going to be harder because I don't actually have that many classics. And also, what is a classic? Is a classic Tolkien? Is a classic Dracula? Is a classic a Penguin classic? Like, it's a bit like fake to me. DK says there is a fun read with vampires that I think you might like to cozy read. Half Moon Hollow by Molly Harper. Let's check it out. Half Moon Hollow. I cannot find it. I can find Molly Harper. And I find The Care and Feeding of Stray Vampire. Ah, The Half Moon Hollow is a series. Thank you. Want to read. It has over 14,000 ratings with a 4 stars. That is not bad at all. It is paranormal, vampires, romance, paranormal, romance, fantasy, urban fantasy, humor, fiction, contemporary, audiobook. Yeah, it has a lot of tags added to it. So let's read the description. Iris Scanlon, Half Moon Hollow's only daytime vampire concierge, knows more about the undead than she'd like. Running all their daytime errands, from letting in the plumber to picking up some chilled oneg, gives her a look at the not so glamorous side of vampire life. Her rules are strict. Relationships with vamps are strictly business, not friendship, and certainly not anything else. But then she finds her newest client, Kel, poisoned on his kitchen floor, and only Iris can help. Kel, who would be devastatingly sexy if Iris allowed herself to think that way, offers Iris a hefty fee for hiding him at her place until he figures out who wants him permanently dead. Even though he's imperious, unfriendly, and doesn't seem to understand the difference between employee and servant, Iris agrees and finds herself breaking more and more of her own rules to help him, particularly those concerning nudity. Turns out what her quiet life needed was some intrigue and romance in the form of her very own stray vampire. I need to read this. So the first 4 are the same leads. After that, it's standalone. Okay, awesome. That definitely sounds like something I would really enjoy. So I'm gonna immediately see if it's on Kobo, if I can download it. Because I really need to read that. It sounds really good. Let's see. Doesn't find it on the Kobo app. But then, of course, there is magicalball.com who has everything. And I do find it. It is 11 euros, though, as the ebook. But maybe I should get it. Molly Harper, so the same author, has also written Starfall Point, Big Witch Energy, Witches Get Stuff Done. And then there are similar books, The Undead in My Bed. Okay, then. Yet Nice Girls Don't Have Fangs, I've also found here. Pasties and Poor Decisions. Okay, sorry, this is just. I love how obvious some of these romance, like paranormal romance authors are about their books. Um, yeah, it's just fun. And I actually grew up partially on this type of books, not knowing that it was a very particular type of books, but it is called Bitlit by Edition My Lady. And I think I mentioned this in an older video. I grew up in a partially French part of Belgium. So when I was 13 to 17, 18, and that's when I started reading more and more, and where the library could not satisfy my need for books. So I actually started going to the local bookstore, which was a very small bookstore. And they had Patricia Briggs, the Mercy Thompson series, and then Jasmine Galenorn Witchling. So it's the Sisters of the Moon series, and then of course Laurel K. Hamilton, the Anita Blake books. So I started reading those, thinking that were like normal fantasy books. Yeah, I was maybe a little bit too young to read some of those. Book one is Nice Girls Don't Have Fangs. Wait, so which one is the first book that I should read from the Molly Harper series? Which one would you recommend I start with? Because I want to start reading them, and I probably start reading them tonight. Because I am really DNFing Anno Dracula. It's just like it's Jack the Ripper meets vampires, and not my vibe. But I want something fun, romantic-y. I recently read That Time I Got Drunk and Save the Human. I think it is the last book. It's so good. It's a fun romantasy. It's like switching off your brain and just not having to think too much about a book, which is like I like both. I like intense world building with like complex magic systems that are really like when you have a big world and that you have to like get to know it. I love that in books. Like I love the high fantasy, epic fantasy, even urban fantasy books that have a lot of backstory. But I also love the fantasy romances where you just shut off your brain for a little while. Both of them make me equally happy, but I have to like read both of them. I cannot just read fantasy romance because then I get brain rot, and I cannot read only high fantasy, epic fantasy, complex fantasy because then my brain just gets in overdrive. I have a complex job as it is. Like I do part-time admin for a company in chemical industry. And then, of course, I'm a photographer. So when I work, I have to really think about what I'm doing. So whenever I'm not at work, I want to chill down a bit as well. So book one of the Molly Harper books sets the world and the main characters, but to be honest, you could probably jump around and be able to follow just yeah, I think that's the case most of the time with those types of books. I feel Z says, I like reality show type books when my brain hurts. Yes, same. I'm having extremely busy times at work. To give you context, we went from 2 to 3 trucks. Like, we move chemical products. So we used to have 2 to 3 trucks a week, and now we have between 7 and 15 a week. So my workload tripled and the admin tripled, and I still have to manage everything myself. So when I get home, I just want to chill out and relax and not think too much. Which is why I think I'm gonna try and read all of my chill books a little bit now and read more of the romantasy books, the easier books to read where it's not like too complex until work calms down a little bit. It's already 8. We've been yapping for an hour about books. Yay. I have got to be honest, I almost cancelled this live stream because I was like, oh, I DNF'd the book, I didn't enjoy it. But I'm really glad I'm here, and I'm really grateful that lovely Z, DK, that all 3 of you are interacting with me, because this is why I have my channel. It's to interact with people and nerd out about books, regardless if they're like heavy fantasy, epic fantasy, light fantasy, romantasy. I don't care. Like, reading is so much fun when it's diverse, and that's what I'm here for. So thank you for being here and commenting and talking about your favorite books with me, because it definitely helps not feeling guilty over not having read a specific book. But yeah, now that I'm seeing the Jasmine Gilnorn books, I am considering getting back into those again. But I'm not sure. Huh. Are they English or are they French? It's like, it's difficult because I originally read them in French because when I was younger, that's what I had. Huh. But I'm not sure about the original language of those books. Let's see if Goodreads can help. Also, this is totally related and not related. I want to switch from Goodreads to something else. What are you all using to track your books and what you are reading? Is it Storygraph? Is it something else? Because I'm tired of Goodreads. Also, it's Amazon, so I don't feel comfortable supporting Amazon as much anymore. But I don't know what to switch to. So if you have any advice on that, it would be very helpful. Jasmine Gilnorn. She's a USA Today best-selling author. Nice. She's still writing books in the same series that I read. She even has a guide. Where do I start? State of the series, but I don't have an e-reader. Okay, let's see. I'm going. And then I cannot find the Sisters of the Moon. Wait. Otherworld series. Let's see. Otherworld. Otherworld series. This series is finished. Wow. Okay, so fun fact about Jasmine Gilnorn. This series is finished on the Otherworld series. I am currently in a struggle to get my rights back to the books that they still control. I have the rights back to 12 of the original 18. My ex-publisher controls the other 6. Holy shit. Until I have my rights back, I will not be republishing the books I have control over, and I will not be writing any more in this series. If I get all the rights back, I will reissue the entire series, and as for future plans, I don't know. I am encouraging my readers to please read and recommend my indie book series instead of Otherworld because the fewer sales the series has, the more apt I am to get the rights back to the remaining books. There are 21 books in total, 18 through traditional publishing and 3 through my indie brand, and numerous novellas and short stories in this series. Shit. Like, I wish that authors could just own their own books. But this is the series that exploded. That's the series that I got to know her with, and that's probably the reason that it's not as easy to find right now because the publisher. She also has a Where Do I Start? She has love urban fantasy, love paranormal romance, mystery with somewhat older heroine, paranormal, dark paranormal romance, romantasy, fantasy romance. Dive into my new Winter's Spell trilogy. Romantasy fairy tale, apparently. Yeah, she has a lot, but it's a shame that the series that I really liked when I was younger is like not doing well with the author because of the rights. So let's see. Molly Harper books are for relaxing the brain, not too complex with a bit of humor. Yeah, I kind of got that impression from the blurb about the book, so it's definitely something that I want to read. Lovely says, once you start talking about books, you can't stop. True. Um, I was at Facts almost 2 weeks ago now, and I had someone coming over to my booth start talk about books. And I really had to tell them, I'm so sorry, but I'm here to take pictures of people in my booth. I have to stop talking about books because otherwise we're going to be here for hours. And there were also two Violet cosplayers, which was really cool. And of course, I got pictures of them like I had to. One of them even made her dragon scale corset thing green shimmery ish, like the scales are described and not just black, with some sort of like shifting eyeshadow, and it looks really, really cool. Let's see. I use Goodreads and Fable. What is Fable? I only know Fable as the game. When I type in Fable, I find Fable England's EU, which is jewelry. Then I find Fable, the game that I play. Aha. Fable, the social app for bookworms and binge watchers. So you can also add TV things to it. Interesting. It's being promoted with Bright by Ailey Hazelwood. I'm not sure. It looks a bit too. Like you say, it's new, so someone has to give it a try, but I don't know. And I see it's a mix of everything for education, for business, join a club, bookstore. I'm not really convinced yet of Fable, not of other books or something. So yeah, I don't know yet what the next book club is gonna be like when we have it. It's very social media like. You can turn the feed to books. Oh, okay, that's interesting. But is it something that you use in browser? Because I use Goodreads mostly in browser. Um, Whereas I know a lot of them you really have to use like on your phone to keep track of things. I don't mind either of them, but I just need to know which one to use. And then I get on my phone and I immediately get distracted by Uriel Varier Creations, who makes fantasy dresses. And I'm like, ooh, shiny objects. And you use it in your phone. Okay, maybe I should check it out on phone to see what it's like and see if I want to start using it. But I wanted to ask you, is there anything in particular that you would like to have be part of the, what you may call it, book club for next month? Because I'm going to go through all of my books on my shelves and just pick a few randomly and then add those to the options. I think I might use these cards to define those books. But if there's anything that you want to read for next month's book club, or a book that you have recently read that is a fairly new release, or that is something really good, then that is, of course, an option too. Because I have way too many books. We need something light. Okay. Is A Duel with the Vampire Lord by Elise Kova, is that light? I don't know if it is. I'm just going through the books that I have on my want to read list on Goodreads right now. The Spell Shop. I have read The Spell Shop. I've read it last year, I think. It is very good. Enchantra. I don't have Enchantra. But it could be an option. I'm quickly scrolling, but there's not really. I'm gonna open my. I have a book file somewhere. Aha, books I own. I need to update it because my last few hauls are definitely a lot in here. And we're gonna look into all of the books. Ba-bum. So there is a book that I really would love to read. It's called The Great Library of Tomorrow by Rosalia Aguilar Solas. And it was really getting promoted at an event last year at Facts, I think. Lovely says Enchantra. I have read. Fun read. I don't know what it is. Enchantra. It's by Kaylee Smith. Wait. Do I have the first book? It's Phantasma. Yes, I have Phantasma. I have the first book. I don't have the second one. But we could do Phantasma, so I'm gonna put. Wait, I'm gonna make a short list. So we have Phantasma, option 1, because I actually own it. I also want to put up something very romantic. So let me quickly check what I have in very romantic vibes that I have not read yet. I have not read The Stolen Heir or Book of Night from Holly Black. If anyone can tell me if those are worth my time or absolutely not. I also have a lot of Lee Bardugo books, but I have not read a single one yet. Let me check what I have here. I have The Crimson Moth by Kristen Ciccarelli, and I, at Facts, bought the second book. So we could read that one, and if I really love it, I can immediately read the second book as well. But I haven't read The Crimson Moth yet. What else do we have here? The House Witch series, I have the 3 books of. I'm just quickly going through the books I have that speak to me. Yeah, Serafina by Rachel Hartman. I think Lovely mentioned earlier that she has but hasn't read yet. So that could definitely be an option. I know it's a young adult series, with which Serafina is the first book. It's from 2012, but I also know it has very good ratings. So maybe that's a good one as well to add. I also have The Honey Witch, which I think I confused with The Spell Shop at some point. I also have A Fire in the Sky, which is dragon based by Sophie Jordan. Then I have a bunch of Tea Kingfishers. I have A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. I think that's a light one too. And I also have Sword Heart and the Twisted Ones. But the Twisted Ones is darker, and I don't feel like reading dark books right now. So I'm not going to do that one. Immortal Dark. Why is it marked as unread? Huh. Fire in the Sky. You have that one. Okay, so maybe. So I'm gonna add the Crimson Moth. So now we have Phantasma, the Crimson Moth, maybe a Fire in the Sky as well. What do we think? Is that something you would be interested in reading, or would you prefer Serafina as a dragon book in the maybe list? Haha, Lovely has it as well. It's on my shelf. Okay, so I'm adding as one of the options, so Phantasma, Crimson Moth, A Fire in the Sky, and then we need one more book. Um, mm, 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 mm. Lovely in her dragon era. Aren't we all? I'm always in my vampire era, so I don't judge. Um, I really want to start the Samantha Shannon series again. So, the Bone Season series, because I have the entire collection of books. So I have the revised editions of the Bone Season, the Mime Order, the Song Rising, the Mask Falling, and now the recent release, The Dark Mirror. And I know when they originally came out or were released, I have read the first 3 books, and then, yeah, the other books weren't out yet. But now with the revised editions, I'm considering starting again because she has reworked a fair bit of the lore in it and the backstory of some people. So I'm really curious to see what that's like. Um, and Lovely says, I'm in a hunger for dragons since Onyx Storm wasn't fulfilling. I unfortunately understand you fully. Um, you want to read all of the books? We're gonna have to make a choice somehow. I get that. Every single book that I own, I want to read, which means I have over 150 books that I want to read. It's very very hard to pick. Um, I did have. Hold on. I'm gonna put my headphones on. I'll be back in a moment, but I'm gonna pull out my new books that I just purchased. Maybe there's something in there that we could read. Hold on. So we don't judge, but this book buying ban is not going very well. In my defense, these books were all bought secondhand and only at €3 a piece, so it's not that bad. The first one is God Blind. The Red Gods Are Rising. This one is not going to be it for this month. Then, we have a Naomi Novik book. I actually have other Naomi Novik books as well. Let me check which one I have by her. Novik. I have a Deadly Education as well, and this one is called Uprooted. This is more enchanting. A dark enchantment blights the land. So it's an enchanted village type book. But the other one, A Deadly Education, apparently is a school for magic based system. So maybe that would be interesting. Then I also have Three Dark Crowns. This is the first book in a series. Three sisters, one throne, a fight to the death. And it has like a shiny snake on the cover. In every generation on the island of Fenburn, a set of triplets is born, 3 queens, all equal heirs to the crown, all possessed of a coveted magic. So yeah, I don't know. it seems a little bit YA, but that's fine. And then the final one is a V.E. Schwab's This Savage Song. I have other books by V.E. Schwab. I have The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue. And then I also have The Vampires Never Get Old. It's a bundle of short stories. Yeah, I don't know what this is about, to be honest. I just saw it and it was €3, so I got it. And then we have the slightly more expensive books. I'm not sure if we talked about it, but there was a book that I really loved. It was called The Tainted Cup, and this is the second book in that series. It is called A Drop of Corruption, an Anna and Din mystery. It was fantasy Sherlock Holmes. I want to read the Emily books. Ooh, the Emily Wilde. I have the third Emily Wilde and I haven't read it yet. Should I put that one on? Yeah, I'm going to put that one on the options. Emily Wilde and the Map of the Other Lands. Because I did purchase it, but I haven't read it yet. Good idea. So the other book that I got is The Rebel Witch, which is the second book to Crimson Moth, which is a book that I still haven't read yet. But if we pick the Crimson Moth for the month of May, maybe I will read this as well. And then the final book, I don't know a lot about, but I saw this, The Sanctuary of the Shadow, and then I saw like pretty edges. And hold on. It is honestly like, I love the way this gold foiling is done. The inside covers are not really special, it's just like celestial. But it is circus vibes, but then fantasy. So I'm not exactly sure what this is about. So it says, come for the show, stay for the magic. So I'm not sure what this is about. If it's vampires or not, I don't know yet. Maybe I should look it up on Goodreads. Let's see. By Aurora Escher. Ooh, it doesn't have the highest score. It's a fantasy romance. Fantasy, romance, romantasy, fantasy romance, adult fiction, magic. Those are good keywords. It does have only a 2.9 score out of 11,163 ratings. I don't know. So it says, some follow their destiny, others fall for it. For humans, Salizar's is a place of mystery and wonder. For Harrow, it's a place to hide from those who slaughtered her entire clan. A haven where she can disguise both her abilities and who she really is. Until he arrives. He has no recollection of who or even what he is. He only knows that he's a monster, with wings and powerful abilities never seen before. But beneath the layers of rage and isolation, one glimpse into those inky black eyes reveals a soul that calls out to the loneliness in Harrow. And so she chooses him. She is drawn to the mystery of him, her unquenchable need for his kiss, and as powerful enemies align and conspire against them, Harrow knows their only hope is escape. Now, with every secret she unlocks from his past, a shadow from her own whispers free, luring enemies who will stop at nothing to get their final revenge on Harrow, and she's given them the perfect weapon because her winged beast is not what he seems. But maybe it's time they finally learn neither is she. I'm not super sure about this book, but it doesn't sound bad. Let's read a negative review, shall we? I think it's so funny. Maybe I should make a video of reading negative reviews to books that I love and see how accurate they are. So, I'm sorry, so sorry. I hate writing negative reviews, but this book had me so looking forward to it, and now I'm just sad. When I start a Red Tower book, I know I'm signing up for something that is at least 40% pure vibes, mere for a good time, and all the previous books from this imprint have ranged from mostly enjoyed it to new favorite, which is why Sanctuary of the Shadow is just such a heartbreaking disappointment. I just felt like the book utterly failed to deliver anything in its very cool premises. The book is marketed all around a magical circus, and then we barely spent any time with that element at all. It's supposed to be a richly developed world with an epic war, and the world building feels dry and detached, despite some really intriguing ideas that peek through. The romance too feels oddly underdeveloped, or perhaps it's because the MCs have that detached feeling too, other than the steamy scenes, which don't have great lead up, but definitely have a noticeably higher quality of writing. So the smut is good. Everything just feels so literal and lacking subtlety. I could not get invested in any of it. I nearly DNF'd within the first chapter when one character sits down and tells another, I had this bad feeling I can't decipher beyond general dread, but someone needs my help. This is paraphrasing, but barely. The dialogue and the narration both are super blunt and with POV switching a lot, occasionally frustrating to follow. I wanted to like this, and the general idea is so intriguing, but instead, it's one of my biggest disappointments in quite some time. Okay. Another person's review. The sudden jump in writing quality slash care during the sex scenes was actually hilarious, like everything else was just lame window dressing. Uh, yeah, it is. It's funny because the entire first page of reviews are all 1-star reviews, and I'm not sorting them to be 1-star reviews. Oof. I didn't want to believe it was as bad as the reviews made it out to be. It wasn't, it was worse. Um, I regret buying this book. Do I regret buying this book? We'll see. So I'm not gonna add that one to the possible TBR. And I bought this book at Facts, and I think I overpaid for it. I paid 28 euros for this pretty spray painted edge book that apparently will be very disappointing. Oops. We'll see. If I don't like it, I can just resell it. We'll see. So I have on the shortlist for next month Phantasma, The Crimson Moth, A Fire in the Sky, and Emily Wilde and a Map of the Other Lands. So the third book in the Emily Wilde series. What do we think? Is this a good selection of books? Been there. Yes. Yes, yes. Let's say that I've overpaid for certain books. Like there is one book that I'm desperately trying to sell. I paid a lot of money for it, and I'm not even going to make that money back on it. And it's a signed special edition. So it's kind of frustrating. It is what's it called again? It's on my Vinted if anyone wants it. I will choose Fire in the Sky, just so you know. I don't mind, don't worry. Where is it? Oh, it's from last year. How can I find the books I read last year? Here. I know I gave it a bad review. And it's not Lucy Undying. No, no, no. The Book of Azrael. So the Book of Azrael, I thought I would love it based on the description and how like the main character, female main character, is a badass. I ended up not liking it at all, and my partner actually bought leather type special edition from the States for me, and he paid, I think, 70 or 80 euros for it. And I'm trying to resell it, but no one wants it. Although the series is getting a lot of love, which I don't fully understand, but there has to be someone who wants the book. Yeah. Yeah. My partner is amazing. He buys me the best gifts. He gets me books all the time. But I give him like a list of books that I would like to get or similar books or whatever. So it's not his fault. Yeah. Okay. So we have the list of books for next month. I'm going to already make the poll while I'm at it. Make a post and then May book club book rules. When will we do the next book club? Let's see, because I have to look into my calendar. I actually didn't think we would make it past April, but since you are still hanging out with me and still talking to me, even if I haven't read the book, I think we're okay. So in May, I have the 23rd of May. The 23rd of May, Friday, 23rd of May. May 23rd. And then we're gonna input the books. So I'm gonna do this while talking to you. So if you still have any questions, feel free to ask. If there's anything you want to talk about, now is the time, now that I'm still here. Live streaming and at the same time setting up the poll for next month. I'm actually hoping that the Crimson Mod gets a bunch of votes as well, because I've had it for so long, like since it released, and I haven't read it yet. Fire in the Sky. What are you reading? Nocticaria. Doesn't ring a bell, unfortunately. But I will look it up on Goodreads to see what it is about. The Map of the Otherlands. Okay. So. So we have, it's 670 pages. That is a chunk. But what if it's good after 400 pages? I get it. Unfortunately, I get that. And that is why I am stubborn. And instead of DNFing a book that I know is not my thing, I will often just stubbornly keep reading it. Map of the Otherlands. Ta-da! Okay, so the votes for May Book Club are open. So there's Phantasma, The Crimson Moth, Fire in the Sky, and Emily Wild Map of the Otherlands. So if you want, you can already head over to the community tab and cast your votes. You don't have to, of course, but it's nice to have something that I know you will also like to read. There we go. I never DNF. The what if gets me every time. You have Anathema in your list to read. Let's look up this book. Goodreads. Nocticaria. by Carrie Lake. What is this? The Dead Teach the Living, a dark, atmospheric tale of deadly secrets and forbidden love. Dark romance, fantasy, romance. It's a standalone dark academia gothic romance. Okay. Is it the same? No, it's not the same author as Phantasma. Ah. Long as hell, but so worth it. Perfect read for the fall. I really enjoyed this book. Okay. There are people who describe it as the favorite book of all time. And let's have a look at Anathema. And it's by the same author, apparently. The Eating Woods duology, book 1. Gothic dark fantasy about a shunned woman who is forced beyond the mortal realm's forbidden boundary into a terrifying world of cursed souls and grotesque creatures. Fantasy romance, gothic dark romance, fantasy romance. I think it's a romance book, all right. Crime against humanity. It's apparently Anathema is a slow burn, dark gothic atmosphere with hauntingly beautiful writing. Maybe. I don't think I have that book. I do have Phantasma, that I know. So if you want to vote, you can. Let's see if give me horror with my romance, please. No, give me fantasy with my romance. I don't want horror. I don't know what it is, but I tend to not like anything that is gore related. Like, okay, you have battle scenes in books that I get, and then you can have a little bit of gore into that. But I don't like horror or thriller, or like when it's too gory or when it's purely based on gore, then no thanks. Like, there is a fine line that I tread between what I like and what I don't like. So, for example, in Empire of the Vampire, Empire of the Damned, you definitely have like fights and gruesome creatures, and yeah. But then you also have books like Anno Dracula, and in the first chapter, it is described very vividly how someone is being dismembered, and like, no. Not just like that first chapter out of a book. So for anyone who wasn't here at the beginning of the live stream, I DNF'd Anno Dracula because it was just giving me Jack the Ripper meets vampires vibes, and it's not something that I would have enjoyed. Um, I don't think Carrie Lake will be for you from what I've read, what I've heard. Yeah, that's fine. Lovely says, Phantasma I have read was a fun read. I liked the trial games. Okay. I also have Gothicana on my shelves that I still have not read. It's by another author, Runix or something similar. The eternal romance of Beauty and the Beast meets the gothic suspense of Dracula in this erotic dark academia story of epic love from best-selling author Runix. Also on your maybe I should add Gothicana to the... No, I cannot. I'm not going to make it 5 options. But it is definitely something that I will someday read. No, funny story. Well, funny. I actually don't own the book myself. It's one of my friends who had it, and we switched books around. So she gave me Gothicana, and I don't remember what I gave her. But yeah, books. Always books. Okay. But I'm running out of things to talk about book related today. We went through a lot of vampire books. One of the next books we read, there is not a single vampire book in the list of books for next month. So in May, it's either going to be Phantasma, The Crimson Moth, or A Fire in the Sky, or even Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. So don't forget to vote. I will leave votes open until May 1st, and then we will decide on the book. And the live stream is going to be on May 23rd, also at 7 in the evening. So on May 1st, I will make the banner and already put the live stream up on my channel so you can save it for when it actually goes live. Z is working. I have to edit even more because at Facts I took over 400 pictures of people at my booth, and Monday is the delivery deadline. I finished Saturday and I am now almost halfway with Sunday, but I will have to edit this weekend and on Monday to get everything done. It is a lot of pictures to edit. I'm very lucky that I had a really nice booth to take them in, and that regardless of the situation, I had pretty decent lighting. It's only like later in the day, between 4 and 6, the sun was like going over my booth, and they couldn't lower the, I don't know what system, the thing that keeps the light out of the venue. So I wasn't really able to take a lot of pictures during those hours, or the pictures that I have like a streak of light across the person. So I either have to like cut off the feet portion to make it not look terrible. There is a group picture that I had to take at one of those times that was terrible. What lens do you use mostly? I love my 35mm 1.2 lens. It is quite expensive, but considering that I usually work in small spaces and I need to get people the picture entirely or almost entirely, it's what I prefer. I also have a 50mm 1.4, 1.2, I'm not sure. And I quite enjoy that one as well. But in my studio space, because this is my studio and where I'm sitting right now is where I take the pictures from, I don't have enough space to usually use it. And I use the Canon R6 to take my pictures. So the quality is sharp. There are pictures. Okay. Fun fact. Facts is a Comic Con type convention. People wear wigs. There are people on whose pictures that are even taken from afar that I can zoom in and like fix the hairline of the wigs. Because I do retouch every single image. Some of them don't need a lot of retouching. Most of them it's just like cropping the image to look nice, like evening out the blacks on the background, and that's it. And some other people have a wig that has slided backward where I just fix the hairline off a little bit. Some other people have like wardrobe malfunctions held together with safety pins. Like I retouch those things to make the pictures look good. Interested in photography, but mostly wildlife. Yeah, then I would recommend getting a zoom lens, a telelens, I think they're called. I don't do wildlife. I only do portraits. But like a zoom lens that you can zoom in or out depending on where the object is, especially if you want to like walk through forests or sit in forests and take pictures. I think that would be an essential, so you don't have to be too close to what you're taking pictures of. I need quite literally the opposite of that. I need a lens that does this, so that make sure that the entire object is framed like in my frame with my lens, and you need the other way around, that something that is far away appears closer by. So, but yeah, what I would recommend if you're not sure what you want, rent something first. I have rented 3 different lenses. I've rented the 35, the 50, and the 85. I love the 85 as well, but it is as expensive as the 35mm lens that I have. It's hard because the forest is dark, so I get very noisy images with my current. You need a higher aperture. So you have the lens, so the 35 millimeters, that is like the lens size. And then you have the 1.2, 1.4, 1.8, whatever. That makes that your image is sharp or gets blurrier. Thank you, lovely. See you next time. But the f value, the f1.2, f1.4, etc., that makes that your image can be fixed on something and that thing is sharp or not. But it also helps letting in more light in your lens. And then, of course, having a camera body that can handle higher ISOs better is also important. So the one that I use can handle very high ISO without getting too much grain. But if you have a lot of grain, you can also fix that, because both in Photoshop and in Lightroom, there is a noise reduction function that is actually really good. So if you have, like what I do sometimes, I used to do weddings. At weddings, you often have um, people moving in the evening at the dancing part, and then you have super grainy pictures because you want to capture the movement, and I use noise reduction for that. Someday I will save up for a nice one, maybe if I stop by. Well, the thing is that I think if I calculate how many books I have and how much I spent in general on a book, I would have my entire camera back. Oops. Yeah, stop buying books, but it's not an option. Especially like whenever I see secondhand books that I can buy for only €3, like they're mine. I'm not buying books. Never. I should have a t-shirt. Never not buying books. I try to reduce the amount of books that I buy, but it's not going. Anyhow, since everyone is wrapping up and it's been almost 2 hours since we started the live stream, I want to thank you all so much for joining me tonight. It was really fun talking to you, regardless if we had read the book or not that we were talking about. For next month, don't forget to cast your votes on either Phantasma, The Crimson Moth, A Fire in the Sky, or Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. Joanna says, I got a Kobo to stop buying books, but it didn't work. Yeah, no, it's worse. um, Fun fact, I own physical books and then I get the digital versions for my e-reader. And sometimes my partner is like, oh, instead of getting you just the first book in a series, I got you the entire series. And then there's sales. So if you don't know what Kobo is an e-reader type situation. And on bol.com, which is one of the two platforms, you have the Kobo platform and then you have bol.com. They often have sales on ebooks. So every time that there's sales on ebooks, I tend to just go like, I want this, and this. So, oops. Yes, it was super nice talking to you all. I'm gonna wish you all a very lovely weekend. If you still have to work a few hours, good luck. I'm gonna be editing still for at least an hour to finish a bunch of pictures so that tomorrow and then Sunday and Monday I don't have to edit as much. Thank you so much for joining me in this more casual setup. It was super nice talking to you all. And we will see each other with new videos starting next week again, because I'm gonna be recording this weekend. I will record my newest book haul. I will also be recording the books I read during the month of March. I have a dragon themed video, so Lovely is no longer here, but you will see the video anyways. So yeah, I have at least 3 videos that I'm recording on Saturday, with the goal of getting them edited and uploaded for Tuesday, Friday, and Tuesday, and then we'll see what happens after that. And on Monday, I'm actually going back to Waterstones, so I might be doing a Waterstones video again too. We'll see if I have the time and the energy for it, because my jobs are crazy. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you all so much. Bye.